The modern world is governed by images that speak far louder than words, flashing across millions of screens in a fraction of a second and carrying the immense weight of untold stories, hidden tensions, and long-standing family divisions. Every public gesture, every carefully timed photograph, and every choice of digital presentation becomes a calculated chapter in an ongoing global narrative that captivates audiences across every continent. Behind the polished facade of public duties, historical traditions, and high-profile international appearances lies a complex web of personal choices and shifting dynamics that keep the entire world watching, waiting for the next subtle signal. In an era where distance is measured not just in geographical miles, but in the profound silence between relatives, a single visual update can ignite a massive wave of global speculation and change the public perception of an entire dynasty overnight. This intricate dance between public duty and private reality forms the backdrop of a fascinating sequence of events that unfolded across the global stage over a single weekend, revealing just how deeply interconnected these high-profile lives remain despite the vast oceans that physically separate them. As we begin to unravel the layers of this fascinating story and look closely at the subtle signals being sent across the globe, consider joining our community by subscribing to our channel to ensure you never miss an update on these compelling international developments to truly understand the atmosphere of this specific moment in time. One must first look at the profound contrast between two completely different environments that have come to define the modern narrative of this globally recognized family. On one side of the vast Atlantic Ocean lies the sun-drenched coast of California, a place where privacy is fiercely guarded behind high gates and where life is captured in soft, candid moments that are shared with the public only on rare and highly specific occasions. On the other side sits the historic heart of London, a landscape dominated by centuries of tradition, rigid protocols, and the constant, intense scrutiny of the global press corps, where every single movement is logged, analyzed, and integrated into the grand historical record. The year 2026 has already proven to be a pivotal period of transition and reflection, a time when old wounds are continuously examined under the microscope of public opinion, and when new paths forward are being quietly but deliberately negotiated. The tension between these two worlds is palpable, existing as a silent undercurrent beneath the surface of everyday news updates and occasionally breaking through in ways that leave commentators and the general public alike scrambling to decipher the true meaning behind every move. Within this atmosphere of intense global observation, the arrival of a major annual celebration dedicated to family and fatherhood naturally amplifies the focus on personal relationships that have been fractured by time, distance, and highly publicized disagreements. When a simple digital frame is published to a global audience of millions, it is never just a photograph. It is an assertion of identity, a statement of domestic peace, and a direct communication that cuts through the noise of international commentary. The image in question, appearing quietly but with undeniable timing on a major social media platform, captured a fleeting, deeply intimate moment of affection that stood in sharp, silent contrast to the formal and highly structured visual updates radiating from the historic palaces of the United Kingdom. It depicted a father, now aged 41, kneeling on the ground with a warm and genuine smile, completely enveloped in the embrace of his two young children, who have grown up far away from the ancestral halls and royal parks of their father's youth. The scene was designed to convey warmth, normalcy, and a profound sense of protection, presenting a picture of a family unit that is self-contained, resilient, and utterly detached from the rigid expectations of traditional public service. Yet, the true impact of this visual update lies not just in what it shows, but in the meticulous details embedded within the frame. Details that royal watchers and fashion analysts immediately began to disassemble with forensic precision. The youngest child, a daughter now 5 years old, was captured wearing simple white shorts and a matching top, carrying a small giraffe teddy bear resting gently on her back, an image of pure, undisturbed childhood innocence. Next to her stood her older brother, now 7 years old, whose choice of attire carried surprisingly traditional and familiar connotation that immediately caught the attention of observers worldwide. The young boy was kitted out in an England FIFA World Cup print shirt from the accessible high street brand Zara, a choice of clothing that subtly but undeniably anchored his identity to his father's native land, despite spending almost his entire conscious life under the warm sun of the American West Coast. This choice of a sports-themed shirt representing the English national identity created an immediate wave of commentary, as people wondered whether this was a deliberate nod to the family's roots or simply a casual wardrobe choice for a young boy playing in a California garden. The caption accompanying this intimate snapshot was equally direct and emotionally resonant, carrying a message that seemed to speak simultaneously to the man in the photograph and to the wider world watching from afar. Written by the Duchess of Sussex, the words read with a simple yet powerful elegance, stating that they are all so lucky to have him and identifying him explicitly as their one and only, followed by a warm wish for a happy celebration. The emotional weight of these sentences was unmistakable, serving as a public declaration of solidarity and support for a prince who has chosen a radically different path than the one mapped out for him at birth. By labeling him as their one and only, the statement reinforced the idea of a tight-knit family boundary, an exclusive circle that remains steadfast regardless of the external pressures, legal battles, and complex inheritance debates that continue to swirl around their names in the international media. This quiet domestic presentation from California did not exist in a vacuum, rather. It landed in the digital landscape just hours after an entirely different set of images had been broadcast from the official channels of the British monarchy. In London, the weekend had already been filled with grand displays of pageantry, official birthday parades, and high-level family acknowledgements that celebrated the continuity of the state and the direct line of succession. The public had just witnessed the release of a beautiful, joyful photograph commemorating the 44th birthday of the heir to the throne, an image that showed him in the lush gardens of Kensington Palace alongside his young daughter, Princess Charlotte. Following the historic conclusion of the annual Trooping the Colour ceremony. The contrast between these two distinct family portraits, published on the very same day across different time zones, perfectly encapsulated the deep ideological and geographical divide that has come to define the modern perception of this historic family line, setting the stage for a summer that promises to bring these two worlds into a direct and potentially explosive encounter. The contrast between the two brothers and their respective families became even more pronounced as the global public analyzed the parallel media releases, which seemed to orchestrate an unspoken dialogue across the ocean. In London, the official celebration of the heir to the throne's 44th birthday was marked by an image of remarkable warmth and familial joy, captured in the private gardens of Kensington Palace immediately following the historic pageantry of Trooping the Colour. This photograph featured a grinning Prince William with his arm lovingly wrapped around the shoulder of a beaming Princess Charlotte, a visual testament to the continuity and stable future of the institution he is destined to lead. The caption accompanying this British release was filled with affection, reading as a birthday and Father's Day tribute to the best papa in the world, explicitly signed off by Kate Middleton and their 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. To further cement the historical ties of the day, the official account of the monarchy posted a poignant photograph of King Charles III, alongside Prince William, taken during a rare joint public appearance at the Natural History Museum for a major environmental initiative. This stream of institutional imagery served as a powerful reminder of the structured, public-facing life that Prince Harry chose to leave behind when he relocated his family to the American continent. Beneath the surface of these celebratory photographs, however, lay a much deeper and far more consequential narrative regarding the imminent future of the transatlantic family dynamics. Reports quickly began to circulate that Prince Harry is actively preparing to take his wife, Meghan, and their two young children, Archie and Lilibet, on a highly anticipated and exceptionally rare visit to the United Kingdom. This planned journey, scheduled for mid-July, represents a monumental moment, as it would mark the first time the two children have travelled to their father's homeland in 4 full years. The primary purpose of this significant transatlantic voyage is to attend the official 1-year countdown celebration for the 2027 Invictus Games, an international sporting event founded by Prince Harry that has been successfully awarded to the city of Birmingham. For the Duke of Sussex, this upcoming trip is not merely a professional obligation, but a deeply personal milestone, providing an opportunity to reintroduce his young family to the country he once served. Even as complex negotiations regarding their personal safety and official status continue to dominate discussions behind closed doors, the logistical planning for this summer visit has brought the highly contentious issue of security back into the global spotlight, highlighting the intense friction that still exists between the prince and the institutional frameworks of his homeland. Sources close to the family indicate that Prince Harry is finally satisfied with the private and specialized security arrangements being established for the mid-July journey, which has allowed him to move forward with concrete travel plans for 7-year-old Archie and 5-year-old Lilibet. This development is particularly poignant, given that the children have not seen their grandfather, King Charles, in person since June of 22, when the family briefly travelled to London for the late Queen Elizabeth II's historic Platinum Jubilee celebrations. In the years that followed, the Duke of Sussex has seen his father only twice, navigating a complex legal landscape as he continues to await a definitive decision from the British authorities regarding the precise level of official protective provision his family is entitled to receive while on British soil. The high stakes of this security debate underscore the permanent tension between the prince's desire for normal familial connections and the extraordinary risks that accompany his global profile, while the preparations for the July visit filled the international press with endless speculation. The immediate reality in London was defined by a mixture of grand royal tradition and sharp societal division. The annual Trooping the Colour Parade, which marks the official birthday of the sovereign, brought the entire family together on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. But the journey to that iconic moment was fraught with unexpected tension. As the royal carriages made their way through the historic avenues of central London, the Princess of Wales and her 3 young children were forced to directly confront a vocal group of anti-monarchist demonstrators. The protest, organised by a group known as Republic, featured large, bright umbrellas that explicitly spelt out a demand to stop the rain, accompanied by loud and persistent chants directed at the passing carriage. Despite the jarring presence of these jeers and the aggressive nature of the slogans echoing through the historic streets, the family maintained an attitude of stoic resolve. Refusing to let the public discord overshadow the significance of the state occasion, the visual interaction between the Princess of Wales and the demonstrators became a focal point of intense media analysis, illustrating the immense pressure faced by the modern members of the institution. Sitting alongside George, Charlotte, and Louis in the royal carriage, Princess Catherine appeared entirely unamused by the hostile slogans, choosing to maintain a dignified, composed expression that brushed off the public defiance before the procession reached the safety of the palace gates. This display of resilience was met with an equal measure of enthusiastic applause and cheers from the thousands of loyal well-wishers who had lined the streets to catch a glimpse of the family, highlighting the deeply polarized public sentiment that currently surrounds the traditional symbols of state authority. The ability of the family to project calm and continuity in the face of direct protest demonstrated the core philosophy of public service that remains the bedrock of their contemporary appeal. Even as the broader cultural landscape continues to shift around them, the intense scrutiny surrounding the parade was further magnified by the fact that this week marked an incredibly demanding schedule of public engagements for the heir to the throne in the immediate lead-up to his 44th birthday. Prince William was seen entering fully into the spirit of the traditional summer social season, joining the prestigious carriage procession for the second day of the famous Royal Ascot races. This high-profile appearance was characterized by a distinct sense of celebration and relief, as he was joined on the racecourse by a radiant Princess of Wales, whose bright and elegant ensemble immediately captured the admiration of the fashion press and the gathered crowds. The event carried a deep emotional resonance for the public, as it marked a triumphant return to the social calendar for the princess, who had been forced to miss the previous year's racing events due to her ongoing medical treatments and recovery period. The couple's shared presence at Ascot signaled a reassuring return to normalcy and a visible demonstration of unity that resonated deeply with the public. Throughout the afternoon at the racecourse, Prince William was observed in an exceptionally jovial and relaxed mood, frequently stepping away from the formal protocols to laugh, joke, and converse warmly with the regular onlookers gathered along the rails. As a well-known and passionate supporter of the Aston Villa Football Club, as well as the president of the Football Association, the Prince found a natural connection with the sporting enthusiasts in the crowd, turning a formal event into a moment of genuine human interaction. When a particularly enthusiastic fan shouted a famous club rallying cry in his direction, the crowd erupted into spontaneous laughter, prompting a gleeful and immediate response from the future king, who raised his hand in a gesture of enthusiastic solidarity and chuckled as he acknowledged the team's remarkably successful competitive season. This ability to connect casually and authentically with everyday citizens served as a powerful counterpoint to the rigid, historic pageantry of the preceding days, showcasing a modern approach to leadership that balances the heavy burdens of state duty with a warm, accessible personality. Beyond these public interactions, the prince's commitment to the local community was quietly demonstrated through a generous personal donation aimed at rescuing a historic neighborhood pub facing permanent closure, further cementing his reputation as a leader deeply attuned to the daily realities and cultural touchstones of the people he serves. The unfolding visual narrative of the summer season reaches far beyond individual birthdays and public parades, weaving into a grander tapestry of generational milestones and evolving personal histories that continue to shape the destiny of this prominent family line. To fully appreciate why these moments matter so deeply, one must look at the broader context of recent events that have brought various members of the dynasty together in celebration, reflection, and quiet transitions. Just weeks before the high-profile Father's Day updates and the grand display at Royal Ascot, the family gathered for an exceptionally rare and historic event that marked a significant milestone among the grandchildren of the late Queen Elizabeth II. Peter Phillips, the eldest grandson of the late monarch and the only son of Princess Anne, celebrated his marriage to Harriet Spurling at All Saints' Church in Kemble, situated in the picturesque landscape of Gloucestershire. This private ceremony made historical headlines as it marked the very first time that one of Queen Elizabeth's 8 grandchildren has entered into a second marriage, symbolizing a modern, realistic approach to the concept of a blended family within the traditional frameworks of the historical elite. Harper's Bazaar-e-Share show 1 Harriet Spurling, a dedicated National Health Service pediatric nurse whose professional life has been defined by public service and the care of vulnerable children, stepped into this globally observed circle with an effortless grace that immediately drew praise from onlookers and fashion historians alike. For the wedding ceremony, she chose an elegant Emilia Wickstead gown, crafted from exquisite French lace, featuring a classic column silhouette that perfectly suited the understated dignity of the private countryside service. Adding a touch of timeless splendor to the occasion, the bride wore a magnificent vintage diamond and pearl tiara loaned by the prestigious jeweler Pragnell, a piece showcasing intricate design elements typical of both the Edwardian and Art Deco periods. Following the moving church service, the newlyweds and their select guests travelled to the nearby family estate at Gatcombe Park, where a private reception was held in the serene atmosphere of the Winter Garden, surrounded by late spring flowers like foxglove, delphinium, and roses. The blending of families represented by this marriage serves as a poignant reminder that despite the heavy burdens of history, life continues to move forward, creating new chapters of happiness and unity away from the relentless flashbulbs of the metropolitan press. Harper's Bazaar-e-Share 2. This theme of personal resilience and quiet endurance is mirrored most vividly in the current journey of the Princess of Wales, whose recent public appearances have carried an immense emotional weight for millions of admirers around the world. Having spent a significant portion of the past year away from the public eye due to her serious health challenges and intense medical treatments, her decision to stand alongside her husband and children during these summer events represents a monumental personal victory. Her radiant presence at Royal Ascot, where she walked alongside Prince William in a striking and cheerful ensemble, was not merely a participation in a traditional social event, but a powerful signal of recovery, hope, and an unwavering commitment to her family role. The deep bond between the prince and princess has clearly been forged even stronger through these shared trials. And the joyful imagery released for William's 44th birthday reflects a family unit that has found deep gratitude in the simple blessing of being together after a period of profound uncertainty, as the international community analyzes these parallel developments. The impending arrival of Prince Harry, Meghan, and their children in July introduces a fascinating dynamic that could redefine the family's public narrative for the remainder of the decade. The upcoming visit, centered around the one-year countdown for the Invictus Games in Birmingham, highlights the unique position the Duke of Sussex has carved out for himself on the global stage, utilizing his platform to champion international sports and rehabilitation for wounded service personnel. This specific initiative remains one of his most widely respected achievements, a project that bridges his military past with his current global philanthropic endeavors. By bringing 7-year-old Archie and 5-year-old Lilibet back to the United Kingdom for this event, Harry is not only supporting his professional legacy, but is also opening a vital door for his children to connect with their ancestral heritage and experience the land where their father grew up. The historical significance of this cross-continental intersection cannot be overstated, particularly when considering the relationship between the young children and their grandfather, King Charles III. As the monarch continues to balance his extensive state duties with his own ongoing health considerations. The opportunity to see his youngest grandchildren in person for the first time since the summer of 22 carries a profound personal weight that transcends international commentary and institutional friction. The simple reality that these young children have spent their formative years thousands of miles away from the historic palaces of London underscores the profound personal sacrifices that have accompanied the family's geographical separation. A successful and peaceful summer visit could provide the essential foundation for a more consistent, harmonious relationship moving forward, allowing the family to build a private bridge of communication that exists entirely independent of public expectations and media speculation. Ultimately, the events of this memorable summer weekend serve as a powerful reminder that behind the grand titles, the historic uniforms, and the meticulously managed social media profiles, this globally recognized group of individuals remains fundamentally a family navigating the universal experiences of aging, illness, marriage, and parenthood. The contrasting images of a father hugging his children in a quiet California garden and a future king smiling alongside his daughter in a historic palace garden are two sides of the very same human coin. They reflect a shared desire to protect the innocence of youth, to celebrate the irreplaceable bond between parent and child, and to find moments of genuine joy amidst the extraordinary pressures of an ultra-high-profile existence. As the world watches the final preparations for the upcoming July gathering, there remains a collective hope that the shared values of fatherhood and family continuity will eventually pave the way for a lasting understanding, proving that the ties of blood and shared history are ultimately capable of weathering any storm.